This video was about being too old for nursing. I enrolled in nursing school when I was 48. I started the prereqs for nursing school when I was probably 40. I think 40, just before 46. Just before 47. Excuse me. And it took me about 3 semesters, a year and a half or so, plus the summers, to get all my prereqs in a row together for it. Because the last time I was in college was 30 years ago. Before that, and I'm sorry, it's just before 5 o'clock. I'm a little early today, so I'm a little out of it. The nursing school was hard. It was definitely harder than any of the other didactic coursework that I did. And I was in pre-med back in the day, 30 years ago. None of those courses counted because it was too old. You know, for some reason science changes, but arts does not. So liberal arts classes were fine. They all passed through. But my science courses, for what, there's a couple new elements to the periodic table, but that's about it. I mean, everything else, Bohr's law, Bohr's law, and all that stuff was still the same. But I had to take all that stuff over again. But I had a different mentality. I've had all my kids, worked for 30 years in business, so I had a different mentality going in. So old-wise, I think it was to my advantage. A number of people that started the journey with me in nursing school when I finally got in didn't make it. And it wasn't that they weren't smart enough. These kids were, and I say kids because they were young. I mean, they might take offense to it, but most of them were under 25. Half of my kids are older than that. They didn't have the commitment, just like I didn't have the commitment back then for med school. Would I consider med school still? Maybe. It's a question of how much life do I have in front of me. I'm 50 years old now. If I'm lucky, I'll have 15 to 20 years, the top, as a nurse or health practitioner or what have you. That's the question really more that you should answer, not whether or not you're old enough. I have people that are like, they were lamenting that they're 30, 35 and too old. And then they found out how I was 49, 48, 50, and they were like, and they shut up, And I was like, no, you're never too old to go to med school or nursing school, what have you. There are people older than me in those places. I wasn't the youngest in my class, so it's not that you're too old. Is it rough on the body? Yes, it is horrendously rough on my body. I wish I did it 20 years ago. It would have made it easier. I wish I did it 30 years ago. Would have made it even easier. But was it the right time? So that's really more the question. Is it the right time for you? I would suggest and I would advise, go for it. Do it. It's something I don't regret doing. I'm still a young nurse in that sense, old guy, but young nurse. But my only regret is not doing it sooner. So don't have that regret. You're not too old for nursing school. You're not too old for med school. You're not too old for PA school, what have you. Do what you want to do. Do what is going to satisfy you, because that's a lot of people ask me, like, wow, you took X amount of dollars of pay cut. I mean, I make nowhere near. I can make twice as much and make nowhere near what I used to make. I can make 3 times as much, and I don't make what I'm used to make, frankly speaking. But I'm happier. My mother asked me, "Are you sure you like doing this stuff?" She has a vague idea of what I do, and I'm like, yeah. Honestly, the stress, even though it's life and death, literally, it's not something I take home with me and live day and night with. Yes, I got up early today. I couldn't even sleep past 3 today, but it actually has very little to do with nursing. It has to do with the rest of my life. So, but upshot is, go for it. don't waste more time, because that's probably what the thinking is. And I'll go into how to prepare, because it's one thing to say go for it, yeah, Ray, how? Because that's another topic in itself, and people that are older understand that. I don't even need to elaborate on that, but I will in another video. Okay, but do consider it, get your ducks in a row, and I'll talk about how to in another video.